Good evening and welcome to Hot Shots Part 2. Good evening and welcome to Tetrakey TV. My name's Rob Yates and this is
Mark
Hopkins. And tonight, whilst this is our 37th Facebook Live broadcast for 2017, it's our 50th celebration, 50th episode of Facebook Live. Give us a round of applause. You're so boring.
I'm just in shock.
So this year we're going to bring you a minimum of 260 Facebook Lives where we're going to give you our thoughts, our feelings, our views on the why, the what, and importantly the how of being successful in business. We're going to share with you what we personally do, what clients of ours do, and anything that we believe would be useful for you to have an amazingly successful 2017. So 50 episodes.
I know, I'm just recapping in my mind now all the stuff.
Jeepers. You know, and the hardest thing of this is, good evening Westy, the hardest thing of this is to remember what it is we spoke about last week, last month, and 50 episodes ago. So there we are. So tonight, we had so much fun at talking about what is your role last night, that tonight we're going to go for part 2. Mark did lead us in that direction last night, saying we could split it up, and we've decided to go for it. Mark, what's people's tickets for the game for taking part in these Facebook Live sessions?
Well, the normal ones are like, share, download the book, YouTube. But I think the other one to add on for that is the feedback we got last night just made us buzz. It was so much fun last night, so I really want to thank everyone for giving us that positive feedback, because it does give us that lift. So the nice stuff for us is obviously liking and sharing, but please also, if you don't like stuff, tell us. If you like stuff, tell us, and we'll give you more of what you want.
Yeah, and maybe some stuff you don't want as well that's vitally important to being successful.
I said want, not need.
So the other thing we want to mention is our Get Coached Fly on the Wall YouTube documentary that is fast approaching. Our sincere apologies last night for the people who in the first 24 hours filled in the form on the website. So many people filled it in, our external servers crashed and they tell us we've lost all the data. That's now fixed, we've upgraded the servers, but if you haven't heard back from us with regards to your filling in the application form at tetrakey.com/getcoached, please fill in the form again. I'm sorry about that, out of our control. Being an IT genius isn't necessarily what we signed up to be. So I'm reassured it's fixed now. If you're nervous about it, email works well as well, so info@tetrakey.com. Send us why you believe you should be somebody to take part in that 3 months of free business coaching from Mark and myself on our YouTube Fly on the Wall documentary. Closing date for anybody wishing to be part of it for phase 1 is the 10th of March, and I'm really very excited about it. So, tonight, what is your role? Mark, what's your role?
Storyteller.
Storyteller?
Yep, and I'm going to start with a story.
Oh, wow, go for it.
I was very, very fortunate in the previous world to be exposed to some pretty cool thinkers through a global talent program. And this was a very sort of forward-thinking global business, and it was an insurance business, but they didn't expose us to what you'd call sort of state-of-the-art normal insurance talk. They actually challenged how we think. And I was very fortunate to hear and be spoken to by a guy called Fred Kaufman, who's an Argentinian guy, and he wrote a book called Conscious Business, which is a phenomenal book. So we were in Hong Kong. I think there was 30 or 40 execs from around the world, all in Hong Kong. And he started off his presentation with a story. And his story was, as he was leaving his home in the US, his 7-year-old daughter goes, "Daddy, what are you doing?" And Fred goes, "I'm about to fly to Hong Kong to speak to a group of people." "Oh, Daddy, what kind of people?" "Well, they're insurance executives." Now you can imagine what Fred's brain was going at this point. He was going, it's a 7-year-old, she's going to ask the question.
Yeah.
And out came the question, "Daddy, what is insurance?" So his role in this scenario was to explain what insurance was in a way that his audience, i.e. his 7-year-old daughter, understood. So he responded, insurance provides love from the grave. Which is a pretty profound way of looking at it.
Jesus, that's brilliant.
But what was Fred's role in that scenario? Fred's role was to deliver a message and be the person he had to be for the audience that was there at that point. It was a 7-year-old person. So he adapted his role. So as we started talking about what is your role, I'm thinking more and more about, does it have to be what is your role, or what are your roles in what situations that you find yourself in?
So it moves and changes.
Moves and changes, and it moves and the ability and the people who really. So again, if you think and pause about the people you enjoy hanging out with, are they, or doing business with, or interacting in any format, are they certain people who you know every single time what they're going to do, or do they adapt situations? Do they keep you on your toes? Do they challenge you in certain points of time when they know you need challenging, but other times they sit back and let you be who you want to be?
So you go back to that core concept of behavioural flexibility.
Yeah.
It's interesting that many people we work with, they bounce around their job title as their role. You know, executive of, head of, regional director,
Blah, blah, blah.
head of sales and distribution, blah, blah, congratulations, pat on the back. And here's the thing, like those job titles, if you've got a proper job in a, well, let's say a proper job, but a job in a large corporate body, and that's where you see your life, your future, your career to the day that you retire going, those job titles are useful because often it's that job title that you trade off that for your next job, along with evidencing what it is that you've done. But most people don't actually know what their role is within the business, or what their roles are, in my experience. They just get used to this flippant, oh, I'm the head of so-and-so, and nobody's brave enough to challenge them, and yet nobody actually knows what it is they do. And you can pull that off for ages until you come to go for your next job. And then what happens?
Yeah, so how could you look at it slightly differently? Well, one way you can look at it slightly differently, this is something I did today with a client, was what are your accountabilities? Because if you think about business times, it's a lot of times where a job title will end up speaking to another person at the same level on a job title, because that's what job titles do. What it's not is what are my accountabilities, and who has similar accountabilities within my business, or who has a accountability that aligns or is dependent upon my accountability, and let's engage and have those kind of conversations. So
draws the tree down of who does what, where, and when.
Exactly. It's where do your network. So again, what is your role? Well, my role is whatever my network takes of me at that specific time to fulfill the obligations that I have for those people who are reliant on me. And that's a mouthful to say.
I mean, what does that really mean for a small business owner who's them and 2 staff members, or just them? I mean, what does that? Because there's a grave danger that they say, you ask them, what's your role? And they say, everything. And it's kind of true, because it is everything, but does that person need to go and segment how they use their time into a series of roles? So they've got a role of doing some bookkeeping, a role of doing some product delivery, whatever else.
Yeah, so the how becomes interesting as well then, because the how is a really nice simple mapping exercise between the value that you're bringing to that business and the time that it's taking to deliver that piece of work and that value. Because again, if you think
what
about
does that equate to?
Exactly, you've got to think about a simple 2x2 matrix, and you've got to go high value, low time. Because then if you're doing more high values at low time, you can get more value done in a day. What you don't want to be focusing on low value, high time, because what are you actually contributing to that business? So when you look at your business and look at your role as a business owner and business leader, to answer Rob's question in terms of a 3-man business, your role in that situation is to help your team understand what is the high value in your business and what are the high value accountabilities that you're requiring of them. And then your job after that is to help them be as efficient as they can be within those tasks. Because of more efficiency. So again, it's that Peter Drucker quote. There's nothing so useless as doing something that's been done at all. So it's being what is going to be the most effective thing in your business, and then make those effective things as efficient as you can make.
And so my challenge for people is what are their actual job roles, the things they need to do. Part of that can be mentoring, managing, leading, whatever. But what are those? And if you go and take a job role and then you go and look about what the return on investment is from doing that, a lot of people in my experience, the thing they like doing the most has the lowest return on investment. And it goes back to the 80-20 rule of you spend 80% of your time chasing 20% of the business, and that doesn't make a business profitable. So my challenge for you is to work out what are the things that you do within your business, how important are they, and I break them up into percentage terms, and then allocate how many hours a week you're willing to work, and then give yourself a quantity of hours. If bookkeeping is a role and it's got a 15% percentage, we'll give bookkeeping a 15% hour quota and try and stick to it based upon how important it is to your business. And you're going to have to be honest. I did this exercise with somebody a little while ago, and they went 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10% all the way down. And they even put 10% for marketing. And I'm a firm believer that for a small business owner, marketing should be 60% of your time, if not more. So go and do the exercise. What are the things, the activities that you need to do? They're all role related, aren't they? And what's the percentage of importance? And then allocate yourself some time. And I challenge you to get it done in that time frame as well.
One thing is interesting to add on to what Rob's saying is, as you think about your role and you think about your time, who's actually dictating to you what it is that you're doing? Because again, it could be something that you're being dictated to by others because that's what they want and need of you. But maybe if you pause and reflect, what you want and need of you is not what they want and need of you. So
just to clarify that, because you've lost half our audience.
so think about, it's a concept of time and value. People do one thing, and if you let them, they'll steal your time. We've all had it, haven't we? Where someone will say, please do this for me. That's stealing my time. But if I'm a business owner, time is my most vital commodity. So my role is to protect my time. So I should be asking the question, what is my role in that situation? Because if that role is aligned to the value to my business, then I'm happy to deliver on that request. However,
because that time equates some cash, the request equates some return on investment.
Yeah.
And if that matches whatever your percentage return on investment is, life's good.
Life's good. So as you look at what Rob's suggesting in terms of breaking down and looking at the percentages, reflect over the last week, over the last month, and go, what caused you to spend that time on that task? Was it in your control, or were you being dictated to things that consciously or unconsciously were the right or wrong things? So what, in essence, we're asking you tonight, and what we asked you as well tonight, is don't look at a simple statement. And again, it's 4 words. What is your role? You can answer that quickly. You can answer that statement in 2 seconds. Kenneth has just joined us and he could answer that question. I'm an accountant. Okay, that's my role in life. I'm an accountant.
But what does that mean?
So I'd challenge Kenneth to go away and think about it in a little bit more detail. What does that actually mean to you? And what does that mean to your customers? Is your role much greater than a label? And we love labels in society. We feel very comfortable in society around labels. And why is that? Because we can put lots of things under the same label and feel very, very comfortable. But what happens when you put lots of things under the same label is you get assumptions. Kenneth as an accountant might be very different to Mark as an accountant, but we're using the same label.
Cool. And so I'd also encourage you to do this relatively regularly, especially, even in big business, but in small business, our business is moving organically at a rapid rate of knots. It's growing and thriving in different directions. And therefore, our roles within the business change. What we were thinking we were doing 3 weeks ago is different to what we're thinking we're doing this week. And part of that's through growth, but part of that's also through seizing opportunity. And if you're to take that opportunity, you need to adapt who you are and how you are to get the most out of that opportunity. So this isn't a standalone once-off activity. This is something that should form part of, in my opinion, a fortnightly or monthly reflection. And certainly if you manage staff, doing that sort of percentage activity with them, suddenly you see little light bulb moments, because you can have a conversation where you're spending 50% of your time doing this, but the value it brings to me and the business is this big. Where I really need you to increase that time, effort and energy is here. And you have something that's not a woolly, wishy-washy performance management vague, random HR, nobody quite knows what you're talking about, a bit like this statement conversation with somebody, and everybody smiles and agrees, says they like each other, and still nothing changes. The roles don't adapt, people don't perform at a different level, and they still keep on doing the stuff they really enjoy doing. So, that's it. What's your role part deux?
You never know, there might be a part trois.
Part trois. Well, I think about that. Je ne sais toi. So, download the book. Share this with your friends. Apply for Get Coached on tetrakey.com/Get Coached to stand a chance to get 3 months worth of free coaching from Mark and myself. We've got a quick question here from Paul. What's the best way to have them analyse their time against ROI? Do you have a process for this? Simply, some tasks, I suppose not really, because every task that somebody does will have a different outcome in terms of ROI, depending upon what their purpose in the business is.
Yeah, my first question would be, what metrics or what capabilities are you using to define ROI? Understand what those are in the first place, and then you've got to work backwards to say what kind of things am I doing that's going to drive those ROIs, and then you've got to look at the time that's invested to make that step change that you're looking for. So start with the end. What ROI am I working towards? Then work backwards to the start, and then do the alignment exercise.
So what's that KPI or whatever else that somebody is working towards? That would be a great place to start and work backwards. Thank you for that, Paul. Great question. If anybody else has got any comments, questions, queries, please pop them into the bubble. Send us a direct message. And that's it from us. That's it from you.
That's it from me.
Mark's back to Durban tomorrow night. Tomorrow night I'm going to be having a conversation with you around the worst mistake that I've made while setting up a business. It is legal and ethical, so don't worry about that. But I'm a firm believer that learning from other people's mistakes is a quick way to shortcut your learning journey. So tomorrow night I'm going to be, warts and all, shared with you the biggest mistake I believe I've made.
So please bring tissues.
Please bring tissues. Thanks, Paul, for your comments. And on Friday night, we may well be together again in Durban, or I may well be in Durban at the airport. We'll wait and see. So that's it from us. Have a great 24 hours. Thanks for joining us on Tetrakey TV, and joining us for episode number 50.
Woohoo! Celebration.
Woo-hoo. Yeah, let's go have a bottle of wine. Good night.